Македонската влада веќе калкулира со надоме за изгубени спорови со странските инвеститори. Во неколку наврати се споменуваат бројки од најмалку 1 милиарда на доместоци за заштети, поточно за штети со изгубена добивка и бизниси при инвестиции на странците. Концесијата за рудникот Иловица и беше додадена на канадската компанија Euromax Resource. Владата под притисок на домашните лоби групи и екоактивисти се повлече од еднаш издадената концесија. Владата прво донесе одлука за спојување на концесиите за рудникот Иловица, па потоа се пишманеше. Во трилинг соговорник е Тимоти Морган Вин, главен и извршен директор на компанијата. Господин Вин, во Македонија сте во екот на изборна кампања. Моето прво прашање е дали вашето доаѓање всушност е своевиден притисок врз македонските власти да го искажете незадоволството од ваквата статус-кво состојба во однос на неизвестноста за добивање на концесија по одлуката на управниот суд.
Well, first of all, thank you for allowing us to appear on your show. My timing here is coincidental. The business has been in the country since 2004. And we've spent 20 years developing this project. And at the moment, as you pointed out, we've had various issues and obstacles put in our path. But we're close to resolving them. However, we have been extremely patient. And the most recent developments have been have stretched our patience, shall we say. And so at the moment, we're in a position where we have to take a decision on this project. Do we move forward, and do we develop it, or is there an alternative position for the company to take? Now, in terms of politics, our project is a generations project. It will stretch over 20 to 30 years. We will see many governments during the time of this project. But it's important for us to realise the investment. And at the moment, that's still at risk. And we've had a recent decision, as you've pointed out, which has called into question whether we can move forward on the project. We had a series of legal disputes since 2019, and those have all been resolved in our favour. And consistently in our favour. It has taken time, but we have got there. And what is left is an administrative issue which actually dates back to 2016. In June of this year, the government actually finally addressed this administrative issue, which is one of merging our two concessions. Now, it's interesting, people have called question upon our motives for asking for this merger, but it's very, very simple. If you look at the history of our project, the original concession boundaries were relatively small. And as we did more definition work on our project, it got bigger and better, and it actually expanded outside the original concession boundaries. So we put in another concession area to encircle the original one, a bit like a fried egg, if you see what I mean. And so the legislation provides that you can only apply for an exploitation permit on an individual concession area. The legislation also provides that you can merge two concessions. It doesn't make sense for us to put together an exploitation plan for one part and then the other part. It's nonsensical.
Колку ова што го зборувате всушност реално може да се реализира во овој вакуум период кога политичките партии меѓу себе се конфронтираат во екот на изборната кампања, кога бизнис заедницата чека разврска од изборите, и што всушност очекувате, имајќи во предвид дека многу е веројатно дека во наредните сигурно 4-5 месеци ќе имаме техничка влада се додека не се формира новата влада по изборните резултати?
Look, I think it's unrealistic for us to expect between now and the end of the parliamentary elections for any real decisions to be taken. Thereafter, let us see what the elections provide and what sort of government emerges. But what the message that is important for me to get across is that we have been waiting a very long time. We have been incredibly patient. And as I said, we're agnostic as to what government we deal with. But the importance is that this is a project which has transformational benefits for both the local community and actually the country on so many levels. And the ability for everyone to benefit, not just us as owners and our shareholders, but for the local community, the residents, the citizens, that has been put on hold for so many years now. And I think that there are routes where we can resolve this, be it through the law courts or through the government. And I'm confident that the legal grounds for everything that we've done are absolutely concrete.
Кога во 2016 година дојдовте со намера да инвестирате, имавте мощне позитивно мислење за државата, денес се чини дека се чувствувате изиграни. Од кого и зошто?
You're absolutely right. When we first came into the country, we were hugely positive about the investment environment in the Republic of North Macedonia. We did a lot of analysis, technical and political, and that all satisfied our investment criteria. Now, we remain extremely positive on the project. The Ilovica Stuka project is a great project. The benefits it can bring locally are transformational. The benefits it brings to the country are material, significantly material. But what we have experienced, particularly in the last 8 years or so, has undermined our confidence in the ability of the rule of law and state institutions to deliver what they are required to do under the legal framework in this country. And that is something which is desperately disappointing for us. But we remain absolutely committed to the project. And that should not be under any doubt. We are now bringing forward the option of international arbitration as a last resort. We have waited a very, very long time. We've been incredibly patient. But this last decision has been so ludicrous that we have to now take what I would say is a step of last resort to bring forward international arbitration as a means in which we can protect our investment. We have spent considerable amounts of capital in the country, $50-odd million, to get to where we are today. And as I said, it's a position of last resort. We are not a company of arbitration lawyers. We have been accused, actually, of this is our prime motivation, this is our core business, and it's not. You know, we are a group who are committed to the mining industry, and the benefits it can bring for this country are huge. There was a recent survey which showed that within the export sector of Macedonia, which has shrunk in the past years, the only sort of subsector which has grown and increased their exports in absolute terms has been the mining sector. The mining sector, for a country the size of Macedonia and the stage of development it is in, it's hugely important that these sorts of projects do get realised. The benefits for balances of payments are huge, as well as the other direct benefits. So it has been very disappointing, our treatment, and our patience is over. So we will now move forward with arbitration. But as I said, actually, the next step from government and state institutions is key. The ball is actually in their court. All of this can be resolved, and we would absolutely prefer it to be resolved. But after so long, trying to adhere to the structures and systems within country that unfortunately have failed us in the long term, we're going to have to prioritize going to the arbitration route.
Поради игнорантскиот однос од македонските власти се чувствува и во вашите искажувања резигнираност. Вие дури пред неколку одреден период во една прилика изјавивте, цитирам: "Постојаното непочитување на законите од страна на владата и релевантните државни институции е алармантна." Кои се можните сценарија?
Yes, and you're absolutely right. The lack of rule of law has been detrimental to us and forced us into this latest course of action. The wider issue, though, and unfortunately we have suffered from it, is that this country, which in some ways has many opportunities for foreign investors, is going to really prejudice the ability of foreign capital to enter the country. The rule of law and the lack of adherence to it means that foreign capital will not be encouraged to come here. There was a recent survey, I think I said, 60% of foreign investors will not invest again in this country. So it's a real problem that the country has got to address. And in the wider context of the Republic of North Macedonia's aspirations to join the EU, the rule of law issue is something which is of huge importance to both the EU and other countries globally. I know that the US sent a delegation to look at this particular issue over a year ago. So sorting this problem out is of huge importance and a great priority for this country, because it will unlock a lot of future potential which currently is lying dormant.
Доколку одлучите да одите преку меѓународна арбитража, какви ќе бидат финансиските консеквенции кон државата?
It's too early to give any numbers on that. There's a lot of analysis being undertaken. Suffice it to say, I think it would be material, very material, in the context of the state budget and of the country's total borrowings. So this is a very material potential number and a very potential material liability for the country. We have given the notice of a dispute already to the government, and this was done many years ago in 2020. So arbitration is something which is designed to, the process is designed to bring parties together to start with, to try and work out their difficulties and resolve it before getting to the full arbitration process. We have issued that notice, and the period where we had to have that discussion was 6 months. That has expired long ago. So we are now in a position where we could launch international arbitration today if we wanted to.
Ви благодарам за издвоеното време и за гостувањето во емисијата Трилинг.
My pleasure, thank you.